birthday to you. Okay, and I don't have any other things on the mayor's update, so we are going to move on to the consent agenda. The consent agenda are a number of items that are acted upon through the a single vote of council. We give each of the council members an opportunity to comment on the consent agenda and items of importance from their districts. We rotate the order that we do that. Commissioner Ortiz is first up today, and then I also want to remind you that MPB item number 8 was moved to new business, so that is not part of the consent agenda. All right, Commissioner Ortiz.
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor, I was going to ask you to see, because one of the people that stood up to speak, they were talking about the city not doing certain things, and maybe you can give us some kind of a rerun over the things that the city because the city raised over $30 million back 7 years ago to divide among the victims and victims' families and a bunch of things. So you guys are going to, okay, all right, never mind. You guys are going to talk about that. That's good.
Well, I wasn't, but I will say that in the wake of Pulse, that very day or maybe the very next day, there was an outpouring of support from our community, people that wanted to contribute to the victims' families, to the survivors in a monetary fashion. So we created the One Orlando Foundation that was chaired by Alex Martins and did in fact receive, Heather, how much?
$34 million.
$34 million in contributions, and Ken Feinstein, who had helped in the wake of 9/11 and then the Boston Marathon, assisted us in developing some methodology and how that would be distributed. We took a lot of input from Pulse victims and survivors and family members and developed a methodology under which that $34 million was distributed. We actually distributed about $30 million of it, and then after we had thought we were going to stop taking contributions, an additional $3 to $4 million came in, so we distributed that using the same methodology. Secondly, as you mentioned, or as we mentioned before, we sought to purchase the site so we could move it forward and make sure that there was a memorial that was created. The owner decided not to sell, and a foundation was created for the purpose of constructing or designing and constructing and raising the money to construct a memorial, which also ended up with at least their desire to do a museum. I wasn't necessarily supportive of that aspect. I'm supportive very much of doing the memorial and having a focus on that. In addition, we opened the Orlando United Assistance Center, which was open for a number of years and then transitioned over to the center to continue to assist those involved in Pulse with healthcare and mental health needs as well. So those are the things that the city has done as a result of Pulse.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, so I'm going to speak pretty quick about a fast flying to Washington that I had last week from Monday to Wednesday to address or to talk to Congress about some of the initiative we have that pertain to our cities. And we went as a group, as a delegation from the Florida League of Cities. So I went representing the city of Orlando, and I just gonna speak briefly about each one of the items. Federal preemption of local government broadband deployment. I know that many of you have seen how telephone companies come in and they start digging in front of your house. Some of them are doing it right. They're going through the easement, although we have no power to control that anymore because the state came in and took those powers away from us. Many people call us thinking that we have something to do with that. Well, the state took those powers away from us. But what is worse now is they're going to the national level. At the national level, the same companies are going to the national level to try to get Congress to pass legislation so they can preempt the states. So it's going to be even more difficult for you to complain about this because you're going to have to call your congressperson. So those are one of the things that we fight about all the time at the local level. Home rule, trying to get those powers to stay at our level so we can work with you. And when you have a complaint, we can help you. But when this kind of things happen, it's really hard for us. So that's one of the things we went to fight for. The other one is there's a new PFAS. Maybe either most of you or some of you may not understand. That's a new chemical that's been found in water, on agriculture, on some of equipment for firefighters, for law enforcement. And what we're asking Congress is for them to go ahead and regulate this. Right now, there's regulation allows for 70-something parts to a trillion. We're trying to see if that can be minimized because of the increasing cancer, and this has to do with that. So that's another one of the items. National Flood Insurance Program. There's a lot of pockets that have not been taken care of. The maps for this national flood insurance have not been updated in years. And in addition, some of the houses that have been built in some of these flooding areas, in some cases, people come in, they know it's a flooding area, so they build homes a little higher to try to avoid having to pay for higher premiums or to also or get flooded. Well, that's not being considered when they pay for the premiums, and they just have like one type of umbrella. So we're trying to change that to see if Congress comes back and take these cases on a case-by-case instances. And so these are some of the things. One of the other ones that we also went advocating for is beach renourishment. That has to do with the easements at the beach. I don't think we have any beach in the city of Orlando. So on that one, we're going to skip. Simplifying local government grants, trying to get for the federal government to simplify this grant so people can apply. There's some of these grants and municipalities that don't have the people to apply for this grant, and other cases, they don't have the manpower in terms of amount. Some of these grants pertain to certain levels of, let's say, police officers or firefighters or whatnot, and because of that, they don't qualify. So we're trying to change that. It should be in an equitable way where everybody has a chance to apply for this grant, and there should be a process that can be simplified in order for these smaller municipalities to be able to apply. As I said before, many of them are not getting grants that are very much needed because they don't have the people to fill out these grants, and the federal government makes it really difficult to fill these forms. CDBG monies, Community Development Block Grant, which we have seen great things being done in our community with these grants that we get from the federal government. We match them with private and public monies, and that's how we are able to cure many of the ailments that we have in our communities in terms of development and for housing for our communities, also especially affordable housing. And for the last one that we work with is a tax exemption for municipal bonds. Municipal bonds is a way for us to be able to build a lot of the projects locally, and we don't need the federal government. Right now they're not taxing, but we don't need the federal government to start taxing us on federal bonds. So that's that part. That was our little showdown for our trip to Washington. So let me talk a little bit about B7. Mayor, when I was informed of the intent to purchase the Pulse property, the first thing that came to my mind is we're reopening this wound, but I guess it's a wound that has not healed at the end of the day, and we do have to heal. It's been 7 years. I think it's been a long time. And so I hit the field and I went out to different places. I went to the center, I went to talk to other friends, whatnot, and the complaints were pretty much the same thing that we have heard today. They do want something uplifting, something noble to be done, which I agree, very much agree with this property. But they want to know what's going on. They want to know, they want clarity, they want transparency in terms of what's been happening with the monies. They also don't want one more cent to go to this family that owns the place. But we have a predicament, a huge predicament. How can we attain the place without buying it? Because it's their property. Somebody mentioned that before. So I see where the mayor is trying to, and the council here, is trying to move forward to put this pain behind us and try to attain this property. What I would suggest, I know that tax dollars are being involved on this. Back then, as the mayor mentioned, we raised $34 million. I'm pretty sure we can raise $2 million. So maybe the city can buy this, and then we can raise the money to pay back the taxpayers. It would be a way of solving this issue, and everybody gets what they want, and people feel comfortable with the fact that the city is getting the taxpayers' dollars back. I cannot attest that this is going to happen. This is a decision from the council, the mayor and the council, but I think this is a way for us to put an end to this and finally get a hold of that property and do what is best for the community with the feedback of the community. Mayor, I know that this is a tough decision, and I know you've been struggling with this, and every member of this commission has been struggling with this. So with that, when the time comes, when we get to see that particular item, I would like to propose, if it's feasible, that we do move forward with a clause that we are going to attempt to get that money back to replace the taxpayers' dollars that are going to be used. So I have. Thank you, sir.
Okay, Commissioner. Commissioner Stewart.
Thank you, Mayor, and let me kind of continue the same thought before I get to some of the announcements. I believe that the proper thing to do is get control of the property. I think you're right on task. I also believe that we should move as quickly as possible, put together a plan. I know that's probably your goal as well. I don't know how long it's going to take to get something together. I would recommend some type of time frame, 3 months, 6 months, some kind of time frame. I have a concern that the city controls this property and the city builds something, the city also will have to maintain it in perpetuity. And I would like to see that go into a private support for that. I don't know it's going to happen, but I think that would be our goal to accomplish that. I think there are good people out there that want to be part of this. I think I'd love to do that. I'm going to support this move forward, and I know, Mayor, I know your heart. I know we're trying to get to a place where the community owns this and not the city of Orlando. And so, and I appreciate that. Let me cover a couple of things, just some quick announcements and thank yous. I want to say thank you to FBR for a great golf tournament where you raised a little bit of money. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Had an opportunity to celebrate the Ivanhoe Park Brewing Company's 5th anniversary. I cannot believe it's been 5 years, but they did a great event over there. I was happy to be part of that. And the mayor had a chance to tap a new keg, and we renamed it Robert's Red Ale. Just wanted to let you know. And we had another anniversary of the College Park Cafe, and then, of course, a big anniversary coming up is the 70th anniversary of Audubon Park. Those are all things that are on our doorstep. Tomorrow, the mayor and I will have an opportunity to unveil some historical markers in College Park. Those will be celebrating our 1 year shy of the 100th anniversary of College Park. And I appreciate your mayor, you being involved in that. On a special announcement, let me just share, because many of you guys know I'm a Rotarian, and many things the Rotary Club does I'm very proud of. The single largest fundraising effort in the history of the world was done by Rotarians throughout the world in an effort to end polio. Tomorrow is Polio Plus Day, which is our opportunity to celebrate. We went from 350,000 cases 30 years ago to last year we had 2. So the idea that we can stamp out polio. Now, the byproduct of it is inoculations being done by Rotarians, kind of like me, throughout the entire country, and then our 1.4 million people. But when COVID hit and they had to figure a way to get vaccines out, they used the same method, and we had an opportunity to really impact the world for COVID vaccines. So this methodology can work. So much so that now the next step is to try to address malaria. These are the kind of things that we get involved in. We've raised roughly $3.5 billion as a private funding to make this happen. And I say we, I didn't give the first billion, I just gave a little bit of it. But it's been a really neat project. And tomorrow we celebrate that. Each year we do that on the 24th. Upcoming other events, on the 24th, tomorrow evening, is the Edgewater Drive Complete Streets, a public meeting. It's going to be over at Churchill on the Drive, so get a chance to please attend if you'd like to give us your input. East End Market's having their 10th anniversary. I can't believe that. That's come up this weekend. Rosemont Community Center, College Park Community Center are both doing events. And of course, the College Park Main Street Jazz Fest is coming up between now and our next meeting. Other things on the agenda, I want to say congratulations to our Main Street programs. Thank you very much for the work that y'all have done and continue to do. We had a chance to celebrate my anniversary just a few weeks ago, or I guess last week. And also, as a reminder to those that are listening, the city works with our social service agencies that support City of Orlando residents. And so we will approve today just over $3 million of money going to help those people in need in our community. And that's all I have, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Sheehan.
Thank you, Mayor Dyer. And I know this has been a long day and a very hard day. And Roy, I just have one quick question. If I'm putting you on the spot and you need a minute to think about it, I will do that and just go through my comments. But by purchasing this property, does that absolve the ownership of the Palmas of any responsibility for any lawsuits or any culpability or anything like that?
No, not at all.
Okay. And I just have a few things to say because my name was, of course, mentioned in a very unfavorable fashion, and I'd like to address that. And that's not appropriate to snicker. I suffered deeply, deeply after this massacre, deeply. I didn't sleep for 6 months, okay? And I needed time to heal myself. So I was also concerned about unpermitted renovations that I had heard about from some of the first responders. And I did have a discussion with Zachary Blair about that. I was hurting. I was in a bad place. I was also very angry. But the responsibility for everything that happened at Pulse nightclub that night was the responsible of a shooter that came in and massacred 49 people, several of whom I knew personally. It's not the city. Our police department went in minutes to rescue as many people as they possibly could. There is no cover up here. If there were unpermitted renovations, the city didn't know about it. That's what unpermitted means. That's not the responsibility of the city. What Mayor Dyer and myself did and this council, many of you who were there with me that morning, what we did from the first moments was work to establish a fund to help the victims and their families. We want to distribute every cent of that money to these families. We worked with the hospitals to forgive the bills, many of which were hundreds of thousands of dollars for these victims, and Orlando Health and Advent Health came forward and did that. And that was an amazing thing for them to do. And I don't think that happened anywhere else in the country where there's been a mass shooting.
We thank you, and thank Orlando Health.
And yes. I trust that anger is a part of grief. I understand it because I experienced a lot of it myself. I experienced anger, I experienced denial, I experienced all of that in those days, beyond that time, and since. And I've heard from many people in the last few days who have been re-traumatized as a result of this even being discussed. But this anger is misdirected. Threats against the city council or the community or anybody else is misdirected anger. We did everything we could to try to help people. And I know I did. And I trusted some people clearly that I shouldn't have because they have really misused my trust to come to my home and to come here and make these kind of accusations against me when I nearly fell into that black hole myself. People tried to give me money and I felt and support, and I felt so guilty. And I gave every cent back that anyone offered me. I donated to every organization that was helping people. So if anyone has any concerns over this process, I will make myself available to answer all your concerns in a public forum at the appropriate time. Once I've been making copious notes during this proceeding, and I will make myself available to do that for you. I don't know if it's going to help. I don't know if you're ever going to be able to forgive. I don't know if you're ever going to be able to move on.
but I will do what I can so that you feel comfortable with what's happening, because I want you to. I want you to feel trust. And I want you to feel the way that I felt as a member of the LGBTQ community when I saw people come together to help us in a way that I'd never seen before. So, it is possible to have a horrible thing happen to you and to respond with beauty. It is possible. It is possible to move forward. It is possible to do good. I never ever thought I would ever experience anything like that, and I will never ever be able to get out of my head the screams of those mothers as they found out their children died when I was on the street with them. So don't tell me that I don't care and that I don't feel this. Now, in year 2, I saw what was happening. I saw that it had become a for-profit thing, and I didn't like what I saw. And I had to walk away from my own sanity. I hoped that the One Pulse Foundation would do the right thing. I hoped that they would. But I had to walk away from my own sanity because what was happening was wrong, and I knew it. But I can tell you right now, the only way that we're going to be able to move forward as a community is to get possession of the property so that we can build a proper memorial, which I have heard from day one from these families who lost their kids, who were together and dancing, people who lost their mothers, they lost their family members, they lost their brothers, they lost their sisters, they lost their coaches, they lost people that mattered to them. And all they want is to have them remembered in a respectful, decent, and dignified way. And that's all I want to see. And I know that's all Mayor Dyer wants to see. And that's all this council wants to see. This is not a cover-up. This is not about ego. This is about honoring the loved ones that deserve to be honored. And this has been about ego for way too long. This needs to be about honor and decency and compassion. And that's what I've lived my life doing. If you don't trust me, I feel sorry for you because my heart is pure in this. Now, I've had to put my own feelings aside for the higher good. I don't like paying anybody after they've already got an insurance claim either. I don't. But I also see the higher good, and I appreciate my colleagues for bringing that up too. We need to do a respectful, decent memorial, and you know what? By being transparent, by having this process, we probably will be able to return to the point where people will be willing to donate and help us with this process. We came together in unity 7.5 years ago in a way that I have never seen. But there was also an ugly side to it. I had to have 24/7 police protection. Mayor Dyer and I were both threatened. It was a horrible time. It was a beautiful and horrible time. But you know what? We did what was right for this community. Don't you want that again? Don't you want to feel that way again like we did when we were at Lake Eola and we all came together? Don't you want that? I do.
You didn't feel it.
I do. So I'm asking you, I'm begging you, please. Trust us and let us do this. And you will be included. Not you. I know you've been excluded. I was excluded. I know how that feels. I want this to go forward today because I feel it's the right thing to do, because I have been with the families. I met 38 of the 49 families. And I think this is the right and appropriate thing to do. I appreciate this council's support. I appreciate you, Mayor Dyer, because this has been horrible. This day's been difficult, but we will do the right thing by everyone. And not everybody's going to agree, and not everybody, we're never going to get consensus. Two people can look at something and see two completely different things. But I can tell you the process will be done with love and commitment and decency, much like all those city employees. Many of you don't know that many of the city employees, that I want to thank you here today, you left your desks for months to help with immigration, to help with fundraising, to help people get resources, to help families get the death benefit to bury their kids. You did that, city employees, and I appreciate you and I love you for that. And when they call you a city family, you really did come together to help people, and I really appreciate that, and you do not deserve any level of anger that's being directed today. I appreciate you. And we need to do the right thing by these families today. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Hill.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you for your leadership, this council. I can't put it any more eloquently than Commissioner Sheehan has phrased it. Only thing I can say is today, I think we're all in agreement that we need to make sure that we secure and protect this sacred ground in perpetuity. As Mayor Dyer stated, and through his leadership and through the community's input, we will move forward on what will happen there at that site. But my vote today isn't a yes for an owner, or it is a vote to secure that property and make sure that it isn't sold to some developer that can do whatever they would choose to do on that property. My vote is for the families and those 49 angels. I too today, and I wasn't gonna say anything, but I must also speak on my integrity and my character, Mayor, if you allow me, because I was accused today of being someone that was not thoughtful, callous to death, to the heartache of a mother, sister, or auntie. I did attempt to meet at the police station with this grieving family, a daughter, and a pastor from Black Lives Matter at OPD. There's film right there to prove it. Unfortunately, a community activist, Ms. Scalzo, rode up and snatched them from the door and put them in their car. I told them that I could meet them at my office, and my staff and I waited 3 hours for them to come, and they never showed up. I was laying in my bed about 10:30 at night because I'm still a grieving parent. It doesn't go away. Even if we build this memorial each and every day, you will still grieve the loss of your loved one, whether they died of an illness or whether they died of a violent crime. Your heart still has a hole in your soul. So I understood. But when I got that call that night, I reached out and called my uncle and asked, should I return this call at 10 o'clock at night? He said, well, wait till business hours. But as that person that is traumatized and still going through that grief said, no, I need to call this daughter back, because I don't know how she got my number, but I do have caller ID, and I saw the name, Naomi, and I called back, and immediately I was accused of working with the police. I was accused of not caring. I was accused of not being a commissioner that knew what she was doing by the Black Lives Matter pastor and by the family member. I was told that they had hired an attorney to sue OPD and the city of Orlando. And I stated at that time, well, since you have informed me legally that you have obtained an attorney, I can no longer speak with you because I am a city official. And at this time, you would have to refer all of your questions to our legal department and law enforcement. But prior to that, I stated that I had spoken with our chief, and he had reopened the investigation, but the cause of death is not decided by law enforcement. It is decided by the coroner's office, which is the medical examiner by Orange County, and that's where they would need to take up their concerns about the manner of death, and the ruling was with Orange County and the medical examiner and the county commissioner of that area, which is District 6, where it was held, and that I sympathized and I grieved. And then I saw the mother, at a community event, as she stated. And she asked me, was I Regina Hall? I said, no, I'm Regina Hill. And she told me who she was, and immediately I attempted to give her a hug, and that was denied. And she stated who was her daughter. I said, I'm familiar, and I've spoken with your daughter and how I was abused by your daughter. And she said, well, that doesn't matter. I'm here to talk about my daughter. I said, no, it does matter. I shouldn't be abused by trying to help, whether I'm the commissioner or not. And she asked me, Mayor, was in council in public, well, if you're looking for an apology, I'm not giving it to you. And I said, ma'am, you have a good night. And I walked away. I don't think that was rude. I think that I did my best to try to accommodate. But I am also one traumatized. She said, well, no. She said, have you ever lost a daughter? And I said, yes, unfortunately I have. She said, well, I'm not here to talk about your daughter. I'm here to talk about mine. And I said, well, ma'am, you have a good night. And I proceeded to go to my car, hurt also that my daughter didn't matter. And we had something in common. And that was the end of that until this evening, to this afternoon. But I want to say that we all matter. And because we're commissioners or law enforcement, doesn't mean that we don't hurt anymore, nor does it mean that I'm going to allow people to abuse me and inflict more trauma on me. So I'm here, and I always try to be here if someone knows me. But I go to sleep at night also, missing my daughter, every minute raising her grandchild. So for Ms. Gelzer and her crew, and inflict those that are traumatized with more trauma to hate, God bless them, and I pray for them every day. On another note, I just had to get my truth out. I am in support, as I stated, of B7, and it is a step forward in the right direction, and I look forward to more conversations and transparency in the healing process for people to heal. At CRA, I'm in support of 3 and 4. I think this is a great incentive for restaurants here in the downtown corner, up to $400,000 to build them out, and in the Paramore area. This is also included in also Eola Heights. You know, not just to build restaurants, but when we start looking at the economic development component of it all, the job creation, downtown really becoming that community of not just work, live, and play, but a work, live, and thrive. And this is the type of vision that the downtowners asked for. I think, David, almost 3 years where we had charrettes and different things of that nature with the DTO vision, which it goes hand in hand, along with this CRA 6, which is the high wage, high value component of bringing more high wage jobs downtown. But I'm more excited that it's going to be expanded to the Paramore area when we start talking about small businesses and restaurants that's there being able to be sustainable because we have employees in that corner there and here downtown also. So that's a lot of great things that's happening. Because of the time constraint and what we've gone through today, which was very important city business, to hear the voices of those families and loved ones and the community. I do want to end with this note. We had a youth football season, which was a great football season. Yesterday we played the Super Bowl there at Camping World Stadium. But Commissioner Burns, now that we share a district and most of my kids went to your district there at Grand Avenue, we were able to win a Super Bowl ring. So there you go, for my kids. You're welcome. Yeah, since you've been over there in Paramount Kids, so yeah. So we had another one that joined, these kids joined the portal, or as you say, the portal, right? When you have a coach that transfer to another division and area, which I had two great coaches over in the Mercy Drive corner, and Mayor Dyer and council gave us some new funding to transport kids that wanted to play football, because at that time, we didn't have a football team last year over in Mercy Drive. So we transferred them back over to Rosemont. And this year we had one where I got another ring this year at Mercy Drive, beat our team, the Saints. But the Junior League, which is led by my grandson, Hector Poppy Rodriguez, as the quarterback, went to the Super Bowl yesterday and brought back a Super Bowl ring with all those kids from Mercy Drive that's transported every day to practice, and Poppy jumping in the portal with the rest of them. So, Commissioner Stewart, you finally got a Super Bowl ring. From the kids from District 5 jumping in the portal. Can you hand that to him, Mayor?
Hey, just to remind you, this is Rosemont.
Yeah, Rosemont.
Rosemont. It's very nice.
Yeah, so that's, I would like to end with that. You know, it works when you work it, and it's all coming together and looking towards the future.
Great to know we have talented youth in
There you
all
go. In
sections of
all
our city.
sections of the city.
You forgot to include that your grandson learned how to play like that on the east side.
He did.
I think he wants a ring.
And his Uncle Tony's already trying him to crossover and get him a girlfriend over on the east side, he told him.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Yeah.
Commissioner Burns.
All right, thank you, Mayor. Good afternoon, everyone. Just a few updates. On Monday, October the 16th, I had the pleasure of hosting my biannual State of District 6 address and award ceremony. I was honored to share with the residents of District 6 some of the progress that has taken place since I've taken office and how we've been able to move District 6 forward. But also, I'd like to just thank my city staff for making that happen, but also from several departments of the city. We had some departments there ready to answer any questions that the residents have. So thank you to Public Works, Transportation and Planning Division, Housing and Community Development. Also, I'd like to thank the Chief Planning Manager, Paul Lewis, and his team for tabling and sharing information about the new AARP Accessory Dwelling Unit Educational Project. But also during that evening, we recognized and gave some community partners. We recognized John Matt Reynolds and Universal Orlando as the corporate sponsor of the year, Gene Martin and Route 7 for receiving the community partner of the year, my church, Mount Pleasant Missionary Baptist Church, and Pastor Morrison for receiving the faith partner of the year. And then we highlighted our neighborhood association of the year, and that was won by Carver Shores neighborhood, which is led by Miss Shirley Heath. So we had a good evening, and again, thank you to all the city departments for your participation. We have a few upcoming activities. Actually, today at 6:30 at the Dr. James R. Smith Center, we'll be hosting a community meeting with HTG Development Group. They're going to be talking about the new affordable senior housing project that's going to happen on the corner of Columbia Street and Bruton Boulevard behind the Masonic Lodge. This is one development that the community is excited about, ensuring that our seniors have access to affordable housing. So encourage everyone to come out at 6:30 to ask your questions, see renderings, and get more information about that project. Also, want to mention that on tomorrow, the 24th, at Grand Avenue Neighborhood Center, we will be hosting OPD Chief Eric Smith for his community meeting that will start at 6 o'clock from 6 to 7. So I encourage everyone to come out. Also on Wednesday, October the 25th, I will be hosting my satellite office hours at the L. Claudia Allen Senior Center. Again, this is a time for the residents to come meet with me and my staff, so they don't have to necessarily come to City Hall and deal with the parking issues that they may encounter. So I encourage everyone, if you want to meet with me and my staff, the 25th from 9 to 3. And then also on November the 1st, we have another community meeting announcing to announce and receive input on the affordable housing development that will be happening in the former Piedmont Box Yard. So that will happen at 6:30 at the Grand Avenue Community Center. So I encourage everyone who's interested to learn more about the affordable housing that's coming up in District 6 to please plan on attending. Also, Mayor, on the agenda today, I will be abstaining from items A5 and A7. And as you all are aware, for the past 20 years, I have served as the President and Chief Executive Officer of the Healthcare Center for the Homeless. Item A5 and 7 on today's consent agenda contains two funding agreements with the Healthcare Center for the Homeless. For several years, the city has provided this funding to the Healthcare Center for the Homeless, and we will again be receiving this grant funding through this agreement. I'd like to note that none of my compensation will come from the funds received pursuant to this funding agreement, and that I have not participated in the manner in any way. Additionally, I will file the necessary Form 8B memorandum of voting conflict with the city clerk, and again, we'll be abstaining from that vote. Also, the total of those two grants comes out to about $250,000, which is about 1.3% of our 23-24 annual budget of about $18 million. So again, I will be abstaining from that item. Also on B7, I just want to express that I support the purchase of the Pulse nightclub. Because I agree that we do need to take possession and take control of this property, so we as the city council, and the community can decide what's the best way to move forward. It has been 7 years, and I appreciate the leadership of this council and you, Mayor. I was not on the council at that time, but was impacted by that tragedy. So I'm looking forward to working with the commission as well as the community to see how best we move forward to make sure that we honor those 49 angels that lost their lives on that day. Also, I'd like to recognize item D1, and this is the accepting of the U.S. Department of Justice Community Violence Intervention Grant. I just want to say thank you to Congressman Maxwell Alejandro Frost. I know we have some representatives from his office, so we just like to say thank you to the congressman for his hard work in this area and bringing home the bacon, so we can actually do some work, and it could really boost and support some of the investments that have already been made by this council. So again, thank you for that. Yes. And it will be the CVI program will be expanded to Rosemont. Thank you, Commissioner Hill. And Mayor Dyer, that's all that I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Gray.
Thanks, Mayor. Look, I know we've been here for 2.5 hours, and I'll be very brief, and then I'll make the motion, and we can move on with other business. First, I want to talk quickly about Brightline. I played hooky last Friday, and I said, look, we've talked about Brightline. I'm going to take the train. So I went out to the airport, Terminal C, jumped on the train in the morning and rode down to West Palm Beach. Certainly you can go all the way to Miami, but it was a 2-hour trip. It was as easy as it can be, electronic tickets. You drop your briefcase or your purse or whatever it is, go through security, so there's an element of security, and rode the train for 2 hours, and I felt comfortable and safe the entire time with beverage and food service if you want it. Got in West Palm Beach, and when you get off, those who are worried about transportation, don't worry. Yeah, I felt like I was getting off a cruise ship. There are people all over waiting to see you. But in West Palm, at least, you're 5 minutes from downtown. Took a little free golf cart ride downtown, had lunch. 2 hours later, came back, jumped on the train, and was home. So that's my story, but I would just encourage you to one of these days, go on Brightline, because you're cheating yourself if you don't, because it is here to stay, and it's going to be a good mode of transportation. So do that. I wanted to give them a plug. Also on the agenda, let's go to the agenda, 2 items. Wanted to also congratulate all of our funding partners. They do the yeoman's work for the city, and so thanks to all of you. If any of you stayed, thank you. But for those that have left, just wanted to say thank you. All right, I'm going to close, and I want to talk a little bit about the what we've been talking about for 2.5 hours, which is the Pulse site. A couple of things I want to say, and those on staff have heard this. One is the value of the property. And look, these folks here have a lot of talents I don't have, but I've been in commercial real estate my entire business career. For us to suggest that that property's worth $1.9 million is misleading. 7 years ago, when we looked at this site, our own appraiser said the property was worth $700,000. So where's the balance? People are trying to give value to the improvements. And I would suggest to you that the improvements, those that are still there, the owners have already been paid for their improvements through insurance. And if they haven't, it's their own fault they didn't have insurance. But we are buying land, don't make any mistake about it. And I would also suggest the value of that land since the event is probably less more because of the tragic event and the stigma associated with that. I can't imagine a business coming in and say, I'll pay $2 million and open up a fast food joint or whatever. It's only 1/3 of an acre, so there's limited things you can do. So let's not be confused. We're paying at least 2 to 3 times the value of that property. And so with that, but here's another fact. The reality is it's sacred ground. It was said before, the only purpose for that site, in my view, given the historic significance to this city, is that we make a memorial. Like these folks, I don't know what that is. We let the Pulse Foundation try to figure that out, and for whatever reasons, they failed. So let's take another stab at it, but I think we need to control that as the city first. And to me, the best way to do that and to make sure the taxpayers pay a fair price is we do eminent domain. That's what eminent domain was brought up for.
Families and the victims of the Pulse nightclub.
Thank you, sir. Well, thank you, sir. 2.5 hours we got to hear from you. Give me 5 minutes, and then we can always talk.
I got an email saying 2 o'clock, but my name was the call.
Thank you, sir. So where was I? So we should, in my view, I would like to talk to the council about eminent domain. Why? Because it meets the criteria for eminent domain. It's for the public use, and clearly if that site's not in the best interest of the public, I don't know what is. And 2, the owners will be paid a fair price through the courts. And if it comes out to be $2 million, great, we'll pay them $2 million. But I would bet you $1 it's going to be a lot less than $2 million, and that way we pay the fair price, we still control it, we can still do a memorial, but we don't succumb to the owners who have done absolutely nothing that they promised they would do, and then we should do eminent domain. So with that, Mayor, before I move the agenda, I was hoping we could talk about this at agenda review, but I understand there was a lot of ups and downs. But if
So
anybody
Commissioner,
on the-
just let me respond to
Okay,
that.
thank
So I just had a couple things I want to respond to anyways. When we did the $34 million, there was some discussion back then when we got the second tranche of money, should we set that aside to begin raising money for the memorial? And we decided back then that no, we're going to give 100% of those monies raised to the victims and their families. And we did that. There was no administration cost, no anything. 100% of that $34 million. When we were in contract to purchase the property originally, we did a fair amount of investigation with people that had done memorials. So we talked extensively with Oklahoma City, with New York City, and we learned very quickly these things are not easy to do. There's a lot of emotion that's involved in this. There's a lot of differing opinions on how you go about doing something like this. So I got to concede that I was actually a little bit relieved when we were not able to accomplish the original purchase, and that when the One Pulse Foundation was originated, it seemed that it was taking a lot of our plate if a private entity, a not-for-profit entity with a lot of people that we all respect became board members, could accomplish this task. And they certainly ran into some if not road bumps, road blocks along the way. I disagree with a lot of the things that they did and how they went about doing it. We're now here 7 years later, and I don't think this is do I want to do this? Not really. Do I think we have to do this? Absolutely. That is the position that we are in. Do I want to pay them $2 million? No, I don't really want to pay $2 million. I would have rather seen the property donated either to us or to One Pulse, but that's not where we are. I'm looking at this from an elevation of what is best for our community, what is best for the families of the victims, the survivors, and our community as a whole. How can we bring this community back together in the manner that we did 7 years ago? And the only way I see to do that is, while there are a few people out here that don't trust the city, the vast majority of the people trust the city to know that we're the ones that get things done. We do it in a transparent fashion, which is what we have pledged to. Commissioner Ortiz, I will attempt and hope everybody will join me to raise money to not just offset the $2 million, but to offset whatever the cost of the memorial going forward is. I don't have a plan going forward till right this second in purchasing this property, but we will have one shortly, and it will be, again, as open and transparent, and it will be inclusive of the families of the victims and inclusive of survivors and anybody else that wants to participate in some fashion. To you, Commissioner Gray, I just want to get this done and over
Well,
with.
sir, I know you do, and I respect that, but we got to make tough choices. We're, by my view, number one, we talk about transparency. Representing to the public that this is worth almost $2 million, that's not transparent. It's not. And I will argue with anybody that wants to argue about that. But that notwithstanding, all we're talking about in eminent domain is just controlling the land.
Well, the $2 million was
taking
their
on-
asking price, and I think we just need to move forward. If you need to vote no on that,
I know you want to move forward. I'm trying to look at taxpayers as a fiduciary to taxpayers and say, why are we wasting $1 million of your money? That's all I'm saying. I'm not asking more than anything in that. So I will finish. I think everybody knows where I stand. If anybody wants me to amend this and move it to new business so we can talk, great. If I'm outvoted by everybody and everybody wants to pay $1 million more, then I'll move the agenda. So somebody give me a nod if you want me to do something different. But we are 100% together. The city should control the site. We should have some influence. Look at Oklahoma City. That is a founding board, a guidance board that is comprised of both public and private figures. Bill Clinton is one of the board of governors. That's pretty public. And they've got local people there too. So we're not saying we're going to do it all. But all I'm talking about is getting the land under our control at a fair and reasonable price. And $1 million is $1 million.
Commissioner Hill and Commissioner Ortiz.
Yes, Mayor, I'm in support of moving it forward. When I think about these 49 angels and all their grieving relatives that hurt every day, and some of their parents being elderly and senior, some of them probably have lost parents and family members, not knowing what tomorrow holds for them. And you're making a commitment to reach out to some of our great partners throughout the city to recoup the $2 million, putting a price tag on their pain and suffering at this point. It grieves me. So I think you're going to make a commitment, and you're a man of your word to recoup those $2 million through philanthropic efforts. I don't think we should belabor this. It's 7 years too long.
Commissioner Ortiz.
If I could, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
No, I was just saying, I agree, because I heard what Commissioner Ortiz said. But if any corporation or company wants to contribute dollars, they're going to want to put their name somewhere. That's sponsorship 101. And we're trying to get the corporate element, I think, out of this. But that's why I don't.
It's
I
some
like
good
the
people.
concept, but I don't know that I buy into it.
I know
because somebody's going to want their name.
I know you Mr. Moneybags and always looking at the bottom line, but there's some good people out there that don't want their name on something just when.
Can we tackle this? Because people keep hearing, you keep talking about money, but tell me what rich is, because I might be rich. I don't know. Tony might be rich.
Okay, we're off point.
Tell us
We're
what
off
that
point.
is.
Let's just
No,
figure
Mayor,
out
you
whether we're
can't
going to
keep
be able to
saying
move
that
forward
somebody
today.
is Mr. Moneybags.
Okay, come
If
on.
anybody that shouldn't be doing labels, I think it would be you. But
All right, come on.
Let's trade bank accounts. Let's trade bank accounts, dear. Sorry I hurt your feelings. I'm just
All right,
stating.
come to order. Commissioner Ortiz.
Thank you, Mayor. Just like Commissioner Jim Gray, when this information was given to me, the first thing I thought, as I said before, is we're opening up wounds that we thought was a little bit more stable now. I don't agree. I've listened to the complaints, to the hurting of the people in terms of where this money's going, and I totally agree with everybody. I think this family shouldn't get one more cent. That's a fact. The problem is they own the property, so how we go about this, and he has a point. We can eminent domain, but how long is that going to take? And time is money. That's my concern about this. We can raise our money. Gee, we raised $34 million in no time for the victims. We can raise this money. I think, and I trust the mayor in that particular aspect, and I trust the rest of the council. We can raise our money. We can return the people's monies to their pockets in terms of this money coming back to the city, general fund. And we can get rid of this and put everybody at ease. And then we will handle the property. There was not going to be, because if we perpetuate this any longer, there's going to be more doubts about what's going on with the rest of the money. It's going to be more doubts about what's going on with that family. What are they doing and what else? So I know this is a tight community. We're a tight community. We have gone through greater things, worse things than this. We can put our cards over the table and we can figure this out. It's not that difficult. Not everybody's going to agree. And I have a great deal of admiration for Commissioner Gray, because he's a leader when it comes to economics too. This particular case, and I discussed this with my conscience more than anything else, because God knows that everybody knows that from day one, I was opposed to this original sale. I was one of the first ones that came out and said, there's no justice on this. We're capitalizing on the death of this 49, and that's wrong. This particular time, there's the property value, the market value is more in tune. Not perfect, it's more in tune to what? To my asking. I'm not the perfect when it comes to assessments of properties, okay? But on the other hand, as I talked to everybody out there during the past 2 days, last week, everybody was consistent about the same thing. They want to put this to rest. They want to move forward. This is the city of Orlando, the greatest place in the world. Let's move forward. $2 million, we're going to raise them. We are going to raise them, and we're going to bring it back so everybody will be complete. So with that being said, I move forward to.
If anybody else wants to speak, if not, I'll move the agenda. As always, appreciate you listening to me. I hear that everybody's not in favor. So with that, I will make a motion to approve the consent agenda with the appropriate exclusions from Commissioner Burns.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Gray.
Discussion. There was one thing.
Hold on, let's get a second.
Second.
No, Burns second.
Second by Commissioner Barnes.
I just had discussion on CRA 2, where the
We're
lighting.
going to take up the CRA.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, all in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? And so the motion carries. Okay, we are going to recess the city council meeting. We're going to convene the CRA meeting. David?
Thank you, Mayor. Item 1 is just accepting minutes from
approve.
our CRA advisory
Did
board.
I not say
meeting.
that? Motion. Did I say that or not say that?
Not yet.
Okay, motion passes unanimously. I think I did too. but- Okay, CRA. David?
Thank you, Mayor. Good afternoon, Mayor, members of council. Item 1, this is just minutes from our advisory
Move to
board
approve.
meeting on August 23rd of this year.
Move to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Hill, second by Commissioner Sheehan. All in favor indicate so by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion carries. Number 2.
Thank you, Mayor. Item 2, this is an amendment to Artistic Holiday, or our
Move to
contract with
approve.
Artistic Holiday Designs. It is to enhance our holiday decorations with an immersive stroll. You may remember several years ago we enhanced our decorations throughout Lake Eola, including the 64-foot interactive tree. We are now looking to extend that all the way down to Orange Avenue, down to City Hall Plaza, as well as into the Paramore community. The entire amount of this contract amendment is just under $509,000, and this is our final year under the current RFP with that agent.
Okay. So I move to approve.
Well, could I, this is my Lake Eola, please.
Well, no, this is my Paramore and Creative Village that's not in there, in downtown. Downtown is there.
All right.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Motion by Commissioner Hill, second by Commissioner
Yeah.
Sheehan. Discussion?
So, as we agreed, the downtown corridor is there, but when I look through my notes here in the agenda and notes, you guys forgot to add Creative Village and, because we're going to do Luminary, and then there in the Division and Church, and I think Camping World Stadium and Z. O'Reilly Park. And you don't have Creative Village or Paramore in the form there. So I'm trying to make sure.
Yes, we're
on
extending into
record.
the Paramore Community Commissioner. The exact locations of where each installment will be, we're releasing a number of different installments.
Oh,
and
me and
some of
Sherry
those are
spoke
ultimately
with it.
designated for the Paramore area. You're absolutely correct.
Yeah, well, me and Sherry talked about those spaces.
Those specific spaces,
Yeah.
yes, we're looking at those spaces. The O'Reilly
Okay.
Park, as you mentioned, Luminary Green, and then we're looking at the public spaces along the way,
Yeah.
all the way out to, as you mentioned, with
So-
the Citrus Bowl.
Okay,
or
I
Camping
was
World
just
Stadium.
trying to make sure that it's going in because it's not officially here.
Yes,
So,
it is.
in black and white, so it is
Yes, Commissioner.
established. Thank you.
Mayor, Matt, if I
Commissioner Sheehan.
Thank you. And David, I'd just like to say thank you because ever since we've been doing, we used to have a radio station that came in and did the decor, and it was very amateurish and it looked terrible. And ever since you professionalized it and supported this, it's been amazing. I mean, I went to Italy and bored Thomas with my slides and said, why can't we have something special in Orlando? And it really does create memories for families, and everybody's downtown. Everybody's having a great time, and during COVID, it was really something special for people to be able to come and see. So I just want to thank you and your staff and the council for doing this. And I love the fact that it's expanding to other areas because it really is special. And we used to always say, well, we don't deserve to have nice things. I think we do deserve to have nice things, and we need to spread them throughout the city. And what better than holiday cheer? So thank you very much.
Thank you, Commissioner.
All in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. Number 3.
Thank you, Mayor. Item 3 is a new incentive program. It is an incentive program for new restaurants in the downtown area. Commissioner Hill, you mentioned this in your earlier notes, but for a long time we've talked about how we continue to expand upon the culinary offerings in downtown Orlando, specifically for those first full service dining. So this program actually splits off of our former retail program and offers financial incentives of up to $400,000 for new restaurants that are full service and in our focus areas that are coming to downtown Orlando. That amount would actually be up to $100 per square foot as a tenant improvement allowance for those businesses to build out those spaces. We would look for that to be matched, or would be required to be matched by the landlord. So the landlord would have to match that amount. It's a dollar for dollar matching program. In addition to that, we wanted to look at other ways to activate the downtown area. That would include outdoor dining. That's been of a lot of discussion in original Project DTO as well as Project DTO 2.0. So there's an enhancement that if they're having outdoor dining, we're offering an additional $25,000 of, again, dollar for dollar matching funding to them in order to do that, as well as some rental assistance up to $50,000 if they are in one of our focus areas for the first year's rent abatement, or $25,000 if they're outside of one of those focus areas. If we have a restaurant that is not full service, we want to be able to assist them as well. There's just a lower amount in order to do that because those build outs are not as expensive. That amount is $100,000 in lieu of the $400,000 that was mentioned earlier. And our focused areas are down in the Central Corridor, in the CBD, around Creative Village, and down into Paramore along Central, Paramore Avenue, as well as Church. And I'm happy to address any questions.
All right, do we have a motion?
Move to approve.
Mayor, I have a question.
Oh, I thought that was from the last one.
No, sorry.
Commissioner Sheehan.
Okay, yeah, David, I had a couple questions because, we used to have a restaurant program prior, many, many years ago. And it really didn't work very well, because what would happen is someone would come in, they'd do all these renovations, they would get our money, and then it would never open up. I don't understand how that could even be possible, but that was the experience. They'd renovate, it would never open, renovate, never open. So what safeguards do we have in place moving forward to make sure that if we put the money forward, that we're actually going to get restaurants into downtown?
Sure. So the incentive program is a reimbursable basis, so they would not receive any money subsequent to that being done and those improvements being made. We also have a experience requirement associated with the program, that if a restaurateur is looking to come to the area, we want to see that they have 5 years experience either owning or being an operator in another location, so that we can help them learn the downtown area market, but they already have a good understanding and can show us that they've operated a successful restaurant in other areas, so that we will hopefully not be facing those type of components, Commissioner.
Further discussion, hearing none, all in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion carries.
Mayor, can you repeat the votes, or who moved?
It was Hill and Sheehan in what order?
Hill
Commissioner
first.
Hill moved, Commissioner Sheehan second.
Thank you.
All right, number 4.
Thank you. Item 4, Mayor, is our retail program. Now that we have a restaurant program, we wanted to update the retail program accordingly so that it no longer can address restaurants under that. While we were doing that, we wanted to recommend that our retail program amounts be adjusted. As with restaurants, it is more expensive to build out retail programs these days. Specifically personal services, we've talked a lot about, and Mayor, you've talked a lot about expanding the neighborhood aspect of downtown, and personal services are a definitive component of making that a successful venture. So our personal services recommendation is that that amount for tenant improvements, again at dollar for dollar matching, after those improvements are made, is recommended at $150,000. For those establishments that are not personal service in nature, that would be $100,000 in nature. And then the same rental reimbursements that were recommended under the restaurant program at $50,000 for focus area businesses and $25,000 for non-focus area businesses also prevails. For this particular program, we also have experience requirements. They're a little bit less just due to the nature of retail. They're at 2 years of a similar owner-manager type of component. So I'm happy to address any questions.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Hill, second by Commissioner Sheehan. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor
I
indicate
do
so by
have
saying
some,
aye.
I probably should have asked this, a briefing, but I didn't know about the experience components because that wasn't told to me. With the landlords being the ones that have to be reimbursed and do the build outs or what have you. So is it the landlord that needs the experience, or what if the leaser has the experience, or where are we going with that? I apologize, I didn't ask that in briefing. We missed that.
The applicant is the one who needs to have the experience. For this program, it's 2 years and that similar type of you don't have to necessarily be the owner. You could also have operated or been a manager, let's say, for a similar type of organization. So you are showing that you have the experience to operate a successful business.
Okay, thank you, David.
Additional discussion, hearing none, all in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion carries. All right, number 5 was deleted from the agenda, so let's do number 6.
Yes, number 6, Mayor, is an amendment to our high-wage, high-value job creation program. As we continue to try to enhance downtown Orlando, one of our focuses is attracting more high-wage, high-value jobs and companies that provide those jobs to the area. For a number of years, we've had this program. What we are proposing now is that we make an amendment to that program. So the program currently allows for up to $4,000 of incentives per job for corporations who are creating high-wage, high-value jobs in downtown Orlando. The way they're able to do that is by, one, creating that job. By the appropriate wage value, there is an incentive accordingly. In addition, there's 2 bonuses. There's a bonus for having a certain number of your employees live in downtown. There's an additional bonus available for utilizing public transportation as we try to round out the variety of options. What we are proposing is that we add yet another kind of option or a bonus for those companies who are locating headquarters locations within the Paramore area of the CRA. That amount would be up to $2,000 per job. It would still be capped at the $4,000 per job that the program currently allows. And what would define a headquarters location is a corporation creating 750 high-wage, high-value jobs, again, within that Paramore area, and signing a 10-year lease. The other change to the program is slightly reducing the square footage requirement per employee, as we have seen that kind of iron out a little bit now post-COVID, from the 200 square feet per employee down to 150 square feet per employee. And I'm happy to address any questions.
Motion by Commissioner Hill, second by Commissioner Sheehan. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion carries. David, further business?
There is not, Mayor.
No further business but come before the CRA, so without objection, we'll adjourn the CRA meeting. We'll reconvene the City Council meeting. That brings us to new business, the item that we moved from the consent agenda, which is was part of item C2, item number 8. I understand, Commissioner Gray, you have a motion related to that.
Yeah, I'll make a little bit of background and then a motion. After the MPB meeting hearing on this item, the applicant submitted 5 letters from nearby neighbors who are in support of the drive-through coffee shop as originally proposed, with 2 drive-through windows. Therefore, I recommend approval of the East Park Village Center 3, subject to the conditions of approval in the staff report and the following revisions. First, delete condition 9 about the drive-throughs. Second, add a new condition limiting the hours of operation of the coffee shop from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. And we have 5 letters of support from the HOA board leaders as well as the CDD. So community leaders who are fine with that and look forward to this. Also, the business owner and the property owner are okay with these restrictions. So with that, I'd like to make a motion to approve.
It was at 10 p.m. or 8 p.m.?
I'm sorry, 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. And I talked to planning staff about that, and we're okay.
Motion by Commissioner Gray, second by Commissioner Ortiz. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion carries. Okay, Madam Clerk, you're up. Hearings, ordinances, second reading, number 1.
Ordinance number 2023-24, an ordinance of the City of Orlando granting Hamilton Alliance, Inc., a non-exclusive franchise to provide roll-off container collection and disposal of solid waste within the City of Orlando, outlining franchisee's duties and providing the terms and conditions under which such franchise shall operate, providing for severability and an effective date.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Sheehan, second by Commissioner Burns. Is there anyone from the public, Madam Clerk? I don't have any cards.
No speakers, Mayor.
All in favor indicate so by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion carries. Number 2.
Ordinance number 2023-27, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Orlando, Florida, amending the city's adopted growth management plan, future land use element to revise sub-area policies S.35.6B, S.35.7, and S.35.7.1, providing for severability, correction of scrivener's error, and an effective date.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Gray, second by Commissioner Ortiz. I don't have any cards for public participation. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion carries. Number 3.
Ordinance number 2023-42, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Orlando, Florida, amending the city's adopted growth management plan to change the future land use map designation for approximately 9.6 acres of land generally located north of State Road 528 and east of Narcousie Road, further amending the growth management plan to change the boundaries and development program of sub-area policy S.39.1 and to amend the boundaries of sub-area policy S.39.3, providing for amendment of the city's official growth management plan, providing for severability, correction of scrivener's error, and an effective date.
Move to adopt.
Motion by Commissioner Gray, second by Commissioner Stewart. I don't have any cards for public participation. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion carries. Number 4.
Ordinance number 2023-40, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Orlando, Florida, amending the boundaries of the McCoy Eagle Plan Development Zoning District, such land being generally located east of Narcousie Road, north of State Road 528, and west of Vista Park, amending the special land development regulations, providing a conforming legal description, providing for severability, correction of scrivener's errors, and an effective date.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Gray, second by Commissioner Ortiz. I don't have any cards for participation. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor indicate so by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion carries. Okay, number 5.
Ordinance number 2023-41, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Orlando, Florida, amending the boundaries of the Vista Park Plan Development Zoning District, such land being generally located south of Lee Vista Boulevard, west of State Road 417, north of State Road 528, and east of Narcousie Road, providing a conforming legal description, providing for severability, correction of scrivener's errors, and an effective date.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Gray, second by Commissioner Stewart. I have no cards for public participation, discussion. Hearing none, all in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion carries. Number 6.
Ordinance number 2023-43, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Orlando, Florida, amending the city's adopted growth management plan by updating figure CI 14 to be entitled City of Orlando 2023 through 2028 Capital Improvements Element Capital Improvement Fund Schedule, amending policy 2.2.30 in the Capital Improvements Element, providing for severability, correction of scrivener's error, and an effective date.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Ortiz, second by Commissioner Stewart. I have no cards for public participation, discussion. Hearing none, all in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion carries. Okay, that will bring us to ordinances on first reading. Madam Clerk, number 1.
Ordinance number 2023-36, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Orlando, Florida, amending the city's growth management plan to change the future land use map designation for certain land generally located at the northwest intersection of South Ivanhoe Boulevard, east and north Magnolia Avenue, comprised of 2.4 acres of land more or less from downtown activity center to public recreation and institutional, changing the property zoning designation from downtown metropolitan activity center with a traditional city overlay district to public use with a traditional city overlay district, providing for amendment of the city's official future land use and zoning maps, providing for severability, correction of scrivener's error, permit disclaimer, and an effective date.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Stewart, second by Commissioner Ortiz. I don't have any cards for public participation, discussion. Hearing none, all in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion carries. Number 2.
Ordinance number 2023-39, an ordinance amending Chapter 2 of the City Code of the City of Orlando entitled Administration by amending Section 2.38 to clarify when mayor pro tems shall be elected, providing for codification, severability, scrivener's error, and an effective date.
Move to approve.
Ooh, got some motions and seconds over there from the left side.
We're waiting.
Motion by Commissioner
Sounded like
Burns,
God done that.
second by Commissioner Sheehan. I don't have any cards for
We
public
have one
participation.
card, Mayor. There's
Oh,
one speaker.
I do have a card?
Yes. Lawana Gelzer, if you can please step up to the podium.
I printed this one to make sure I didn't get left off. Lawana Gelzer, 815 Hill Street. Ooh, put the wrong thing down. Okay. Sorry, Mayor Dyer. Let's start it. Okay. I'm going to just say this. The reason why I'm speaking on this is I am very concerned about transparency. I would ask that some kind of way that when you make that selection, that the public is not charged to find out what the spending patterns of all the commissioners and their assistants. And if they're staying within budget of the $150,000, because I think if we are provided that and you're provided that information, most likely you'll make the best decision for the community who should be their next pro tem. So I would definitely want that to be added in, that you request that, and that for transparency, the community can get it without any cost. But since I have 2 minutes, spreading of misinformation and hate, I will gladly provide my phone. I will summons to the OPD to come and get Naomi. And I do not like a
Okay, this has
character
absolutely
assassination
nothing to
on
do with
my-
this item.
She didn't have the right to attack me.
Oh, you can
and
come back,
Lawana
you
Gelzer,
can
I
come
have
back
no
at general
no,
appearance.
Man,
Turn the
stop
mic
cutting
off.
me off.
Turn the mic
And
off.
tell your mother
Turn the
is
mic off.
a paraplegic. She cannot approach you.
Well, you can come back at general appearance.
So that
Luana, you can come back. You know the rules. You know the rules.
Not charge the public
You know the rules.
of seeing how much money is being spent so you can properly make the decision on who our next pro tem should be. And so, Mayor Dyer, you can cut the mic out all you want to. I'm used to you doing that, but you had to come.
You're not used to doing that. You usually don't violate the rules. I don't think we've ever had to do that, but you've never lied and come up and talked about something that's not on the agenda.
Because you turn the cameras off so the people won't know what's going on in here.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I am speaking on behalf. I was attacked. She didn't have the right to do that. And I didn't mention anybody's name. I just mentioned the incident. So you can turn the cameras off. You can do whatever you want to. You can send the police like you did one time. I was still right. It was in my right as a citizen to put my time in and say what I needed to do. So in closing, Mayor Dyer, please do not charge the community when we want to know how much they're spending, and especially their staff, their administration, because it all should be within that $150,000. Thank you, Mayor Dyer.
Whatever.
Wonderful day, and I will see you at General Period.
Okay, whatever.
Whatever to me.
Okay. Number 3. Or did we, where are we? Did we vote on that? Yeah.
No, I think we got.
Okay, do we have any additional requests for public participation?
That's all, Mayor.
Okay. All right, let's see. Motion and a second. All in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion carries. Number 3.
Ordinance number 2023-44, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Orlando, Florida, amending the Lake Highland Preparatory School main campus plan development zoning ordinance for property located on the north side of East Mark Street and on the east and west sides of Highland Avenue and on the west side of North Eola Drive, and comprised of approximately 22.53 acres of land, to include a master signage and fencing plan, and to amend the special land development regulations of the plan development, providing for amendment of the city's official zoning maps, providing a disclaimer, providing for severability, correction of scrivener's error, and an effective date.
Move to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Stewart, second by Commissioner Ortiz. I have no cards for public participation, discussion. Hearing none, all in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, and so the motion carries. All right, Ed, could you get us ready for general appearance?